Ruby Lerner. As the founding president and executive director of Creative Capital, you have a profound impact on artists across the country. For over 17 years, Creative Capital has become a symbol of innovation through its support of artists across creative disciplines. Under your leadership, Creative Capital has committed $40 million in financial aid and advisory support to over 500 projects representing 642 different artists. Because of Creative Capital's impact on the arts and your influence, the Greater Baltimore Cultural Alliance, with funding from the Robert W. Deutsch Foundation, named the Ruby Awards in your honor. These competitive awards support artists in the Greater Baltimore region and reflect your commitment to supporting innovative artistic projects and enriching communities throughout the arts. Even before you established Creative Capital, you were an arts leader. You directed the Association of Independent Video and Filmmakers, published a highly regarded publication, Independent Film and Video Monthly, and served as the executive director of Alternate Roots, a coalition of Southeastern performing artists, and Image, a film video center both based in Atlanta. You have also written and lectured extensively at Harvard and at the University of North Carolina, and you regularly present on art issues at national conferences and summits. You have also received numerous awards and recognition for your work. Ruby Lerner, for your considerable contributions in support of the arts and artists, Maryland Institute College of Art bestows upon you the degree of Doctor of Fine Arts, honoris causa.
Thank you, Juanse. Ruby Lerner, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer you the Doctor of Honor, Doctor of Fine Arts. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my privilege to present to you Dr. Ruby Lerner, who will provide keynote remarks for the class of 2016.
Thank you all so much. And congratulations, grads. I'm so honored to be receiving this degree alongside you today and alongside the fabulous John Waters. He is so impossibly cool, as my colleague here today said, that he still has a BlackBerry. Need I say more? This is actually my second degree from a Maryland institution. I'm a proud graduate of Goucher College, just down the road. But it turns out that Micah was actually part of my education too. I used to sneak away from Goucher on Monday afternoons to attend Joe Cardarelli's amazing poetry class here. So Sammy, if you can calculate the tuition for the cost of one course in 1969, send me an invoice and I'll pay up. I'm here because I made a fake commencement address at a conference a couple of months ago, and Sammy said, "Have you ever made a real one?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, you're going to get an invitation." So it's a little surreal, but here I am. But I know that I'm really here because I've spent an entire career working with artists, most recently and notably through Creative Capital, an organization that I was asked to come invent in 1999 by the then president of the Andy Warhol Foundation, Arch Gillies. Creative Capital is in its 18th year now, and I'm on the verge of transitioning out, so I'm kind of graduating too. I guess I was just on the 17-year plan. It's a time of reflection for me, and I'm grateful to have this opportunity to share some of the things I've learned, and I'm excited to share some of the things that I'm thinking about now. Inspired by the ways that venture capitalists work with young enterprises, at Creative Capital we've learned that it's critical to help artists think of themselves as small businesses. So in addition to providing financial support and promotional support, it's important for artists to acquire a set of skills that will be there long after any funder is out of the picture. Plus, it's important to build a personal network of colleagues and professionals that will be available to you throughout your entire career, and it starts right here with the people sitting beside you today. Artists need a comfort level and essential skills like building an audience, fundraising, negotiating, dealing with contracts, options for how to structure yourself as a business, speaking about your work in public, having a strong presence on the internet, community engagement strategies. And you are so fortunate to have had opportunities here through your Career Development Center to build these skills. And what a gift to know that Micah will be there for you always, because that center will be available to you for life. In this era, everyone also needs to build an email list as a lifelong asset, master social media, consider crowdfunding as one avenue to amass small donations and rally your personal community of support. And very importantly, you need to engage in in-depth planning, project planning. You can't be a good partner to people working on your behalf if you don't have a basic understanding of what it is you're trying to achieve. We don't talk about DIY anymore. We used to in the early days. We now talk about DIYWO. Do it yourself with others. You need a team. And there are skills like strategic planning, work-life planning, time management, basic financial literacy, longer-term financial planning, real estate consideration, life skills. You can't do your work in the world if you're not taking care of yourself. So all of these skills, all of them, plus the network that you build, are going to be imperative in the current environment. And you need to be beginning to build all of that now, because this is your armature as you move forward. Beyond the skills you need, there are a number of personal qualities that you will need to cultivate as well, and that I suspect you've been cultivating here. The central one being adaptability, because you are entering a world where change is going to be a constant. It's been said that we're going to experience more change in the next 30 years than we have in the past 300. It took 50 years after the telephone was invented until half of American homes had one. By contrast, Apple has sold more than 800 million iPhones globally since it was released in 2007. Facebook attracted 6 million users in its first year, 100 times more than that over the next 5 years. 2 years after the iPhone's launch, there were nearly 150 apps. In 2015, there were 1.5 million. Ours is a world of near constant discontinuity. I recently read in the book No Ordinary Disruption. As fast as innovation has multiplied and spread in recent years, it's poised to change and grow at an exponential speed beyond the power of human intuition to anticipate. Beyond the power of human intuition to anticipate. That is a staggering phrase. Are we hardwired as a species for this degree of change? You're more hardwired for change than I think my generation is, but are you ready for what feels like nearly daily change? How will we navigate these massive shifts? What is our place as artists and cultural workers in this future of flux? What will your challenges be, and where are your opportunities? There's a phenomenon called recency bias, where we intuitively believe and want the future to look roughly like the immediate past. And that's why we can be slow to adapt to change. It doesn't look like we will have this luxury. Instead, we need to bake the notion of change, of comfort and ease with change, into our individual DNA and to the individual DNA of our educational institutions, our organizations, our businesses. We will need curiosity. We will need to dwell in a state of what I've been calling extreme alertness. We need to be agile. We need to be willing to adjust quickly as the external environment shifts. We will need good analytical skills and the ability to synthesize. We will all need to be lifelong students. You need to cultivate these qualities because we all need you. We really need you. In his book, The Age of the Unthinkable, a book about our foreign policy challenges, Joshua Cooper Ramo, a former editor at Time magazine, wrote that there are forces for change at work that are invisible using old ways of seeing. He says that the source of the greatest historical disasters is that so few people at the time either recognize or understand those shifts. And then his next sentence floored me. Artists, he wrote, with their tuned instincts for the new, often do. If he is right, and of course, I believe he is, it makes the support for and the validation of contemporary artists not a luxury to be left to the vagaries of the market, but rather a societal necessity. And that means that the work you are about to embark on out in the world is vitally important to us all. James Baldwin said, and this is one of my favorite quotes of all time, "Everybody wants an artist on the wall or on the library shelf, but nobody wants one in the house. In the house means to me that artists need to be a more integral part of our larger societal conversations. The influential artist Joseph Beuys talked about social sculpture, which I'm sure you've learned about here, the idea that society itself is a great work of art and that we're all called upon to participate in it, to transform it, and to reshape it. I heard the architect and designer Bruce Mau talk about how he lost interest in the world of design but became entranced by the prospect of designing the world. These are great metaphors, whether you're building a world-changing business, launching a social enterprise, or creating an art project. What would the world look like if all of our systems, our businesses, our nonprofits thought of themselves as conceptual art projects? At MICA, through programs in community arts, community engagement, social design, design leadership, you've been trained to explore this question, to tackle community and societal challenges, and to become transformative leaders in your chosen sector. For the past few years, I've been ruminating on the idea of radical creativity, the value of radical beauty, radical delight, radical provocation, and shaking us out of our expectations. All of the people being honored here today fit this description. I love the title of one of the theater critic John Lahr's books, Astonish Me. And that is a directive that we actually give to our selection panelists at Creative Capital. And what has happened over the years is that my notions of what art making is or can be have certainly been exploded. We've seen some incredible artists really blur the lines. Brian Knept has worked side by side with medical researchers at the Harvard Medical School. Several of our grantees have spoken at the World Economic Forum in Davos. Several have been TED Fellows. Laurie Jo Reynolds was a leader in getting a supermax prison in Illinois shut down. She calls her work legislative art. The organizer of a conference on exomedicine included one of our grantees in a group that was almost all prize-winning scientists because, as he told me later, he just believed that there needed to be an artist at the table. That same artist, Jae-Rim Lee, is now in the process of transforming the highly toxic funeral industry. I say, let the infiltration begin. Because we so need artists with your ability to come at problems from unexpected perspectives and with your fearlessness to not only become central players in the complex world we currently inhabit, but to be the imaginers and inventors of the future. So that is the challenge that I think we all issue to you today. So good luck, MICA grads. We look forward to the many triumphs that are ahead for you as you create our shared future. Thank you so much for this honor.